By the end of this video, you're going to stop translating Spanish in your head and start actually understanding it.
Podré para mejorar mi español cuando no tengo mucho tiempo libre para estudiar español.
El video después que acabas de ver era yo, con 13 años, logrando la fluidez en mi cuarto idioma, el español, lo que me tomó 120 horas de estudio, ahorrándome cientos de horas de estudio en comparación con el estudiante medio. Si no me conoces, me llamo Hamid, tengo 16 años y ayudo a la gente a hablar español con fluidez más rápido. I got this comment last week, which was about soy, estoy, and tengo. And if on my channel, if you've seen, I have like these quizzes, right? And one of the quizzes was, how do you say I'm cold in Spanish? Meaning you feel cold. And the answer was tengo frío. The commenter was confused because firstly, they thought it should be I'm cold. And so they were thinking about ser and estar. But then they were also confused about how tener, the verb tener comes in there. And so because the answer is tengo frío, they were like, wouldn't that sentence be I have cold? And this is what inspired me to make this video. So the first sentence is tengo frío. Okay, literally translates to word for word. Well, like we said, it was I have cold. And when you think of I have cold, to the English mind, that sounds nonsensical because our English logic says that to feel cold is something that you are, okay? And so therefore we use the verb to be in English, right? I am cold. And so if you were just translating word for word directly to Spanish, you would make the mistake of saying estoy frío. Or even if you're really wrong, you would say soy frío. And that comes to a misunderstanding of ser and estar. That aside, a lot of people got a mistake of saying estoy frío instead of tengo frío. But it's important because it tells you something about Spanish logic when you read something like I have cold directly translated. And this is why when I try to understand Spanish, when there's a sentence I don't understand in Spanish, I always try to translate it first literally and then with meaning, okay? And so translators, their job is to translate meaning, right? What the expression actually meant. But then the thing that makes it advantageous is that you can actually also learn to translate things word for word, like literally. And that tells you something about logic. And so this is an example of that. And so with that in mind, you can actually say a lot of other things in Spanish. This sort of pattern can actually reoccur, that things that in English that we think are things that we are, right? Using the verb to be, in Spanish, maybe things that we have, okay? And so if you want to say I'm hungry in Spanish, you would actually say I have hunger. Or if you want to say I'm hot in the sense that you feel hot, you would say tengo calor, I have heat or hot, right? And so this logic can apply to several things. And this is what I mean by learning logic. Okay, so that's the warm-up. But the other two are actually like hidden things in sentences that we don't actually notice a lot. So let's go to sentence 2. And by the way, if you're just getting started, I highly recommend joining the Speedy Spanish Hub. It's a free community I created with a bunch of free resources and guides to help you start learning Spanish with these methods. And it'll be the first link in the description too. So the next one is Me Gusta el Café. Now, what is the subject of this sentence? Like, what is the thing doing the action? Well, the verb here is gustar. And we see that it's conjugated for he, she, it, or you formal. And so it, meaning coffee or the coffee, is what's doing the verb. And so a lot of people translate me gusta as I like it. But in reality, what that should translate to, what that actually literally translates to, is that it, in this case, the coffee, is pleasing to me. That's where that me it comes from. Because me doesn't mean I. It means me, to me, or myself, in this case, to me. And so in English, the verb to like is something that the subject, meaning the person doing the verb, does, and that tells you if that person likes that thing, okay? In Spanish, if you like that thing, then you have to say that that thing is pleasing to you, and that's what the verb gustar means, okay? And so this tells you a difference in logic again. And so you can see this pattern reoccur a lot in Spanish, where the thing, object, we could say, or the other person, is the thing that is doing the verb, and you, yourself, the person, is the person that is receiving the verb. And so it might kind of sound confusing, but basically, if you want to say that you like coffee, you have to say that coffee is pleasing to you, which obviously does mean that you like it. If something is pleasing to you, it means that you like it, right? And so if you want to say you like the car, you would say the car is pleasing to me. He likes the car, then you have to say that the car is pleasing to him. And so for this, you don't have to memorize a list of different examples. You just have to find one example. You just have to find one example and then break down its logic to understand and then apply it to several different examples. And that's what we did here, for example, right? You can see all these different examples of it, but you can assume those through only observing one example. And that's why I say study logic. This is what I mean by logic when we try to understand Spanish. Now that's 2 of them down, but this third one literally like broke my brain when I first saw it. Like this actually confused me so much the first time I saw it. But once I understood its logic, I was able to again apply it to several different examples. It made me feel like a genius. And once we go through this one, I'm going to give you one question that you can ask yourself that will change how you look at Spanish sentences forever, okay? So stay with me. The first sentence is, Se me cayó. First, when I first looked at this, my thought was, who dropped what, okay? We know that caer means to fall or to drop in this context, and it's very confusing, I know, but I know that the word se in this context means itself. Me in this context means to me, or it could also mean from me, which in this context makes sense. And then cayó means it fell, okay? And so when you put that together, you get it fell itself to me or from me, something like that, which to my English mind sounded so absurd and like illogical. I noticed here was that when you say it fell itself to me, there's no I, meaning in English we say that I dropped it. But in this one, there's no I. It's the same concept as we saw before, where the object, the thing that fell, the it, is the thing that is doing the verb, and the person who in English does the verb, meaning I, is actually the one receiving the verb in this case, which is why we have this to me here. In English, when you say I dropped it, you're saying that you did it. You are the one doing the verb. In Spanish, you're saying that the thing, the it, did itself to you, and that's the logic. It did itself to you mean that you did it for these types of words. So if you want to say I forgot it or it slipped my mind or something, you would actually say it forgot itself to me. Se me olvidó. And so you see these sentences like se me rompió, se me perdió, se me ocurrió, right? These literally translate to, for example, the verb to break is romper. It did itself to me, and it explains this sort of idea that that thing occurred to you. It happened to you. And this structure is used a lot in Spanish, right? This structure can be very confusing, but once you sort of understand how it works, basically meaning that the object does the verb, and then basically meaning the thing, the object, does the verb to it, and then to the subject, meaning the person doing the verb in English. Once you understand that, you can actually just apply this to any, to any example. And so any example where you see se me olvidó, se me rompió, se me cayó, you will be able to use it in basically any context once you understand it, right? Means, because if se me cayó means I dropped it, I can already see that, okay, it means that it dropped itself to me, means that I dropped it. I can understand that that he dropped it would be it dropped itself to him, which would be se le cayó, like we see. Okay, so those are 3 sentences, and there were 3 completely different things going on, and they all differed from English logic. So you're very likely a little confused in this video because we were contradicting our English logic and showing Spanish logic instead. But here's the whole point of this video, because this video isn't to show you these specific examples just because. It's to show you what they all have in common, which is the thing that will actually rewire your brain. And it's the conclusions that you get from the examples. It is the logic that you extrapolate from one example. From Tengo, Frío, the concept, the idea, the purpose wasn't to memorize the whole list of examples. It's to come to the conclusions that certain sensations can be possessions, meaning you can say that you possess that sensation. So tener, and that's why you would use tener, because tener is to have as to possess something. For example of Me Gusta el Café, it can tell you that subjects can be things or people, meaning the person that does the verb in English, in Spanish, can be the person that receives the verb. Okay? And then from se me cayó, we got that things can do themselves to people, and that's how you can express certain things in Spanish. And in English, that would be that person doing the thing. And if you're watching the same thing, I don't really understand it, that's completely fine and normal, okay? I didn't understand a lot of concepts the first time I heard them. My number one tip there would be use them, okay? Use the examples of Tengo, Frío. Use different examples where that same logic is being used, and you're going to find a pattern there. And also specifically understand what each individual word of every sentence actually means. Okay, understand the purpose of it. And that's why I'm translating each individual word directly in order to understand the meaning of it. In order to understand how its literal translation converts to its meaning. So, you knew the words, you knew the grammar, but you didn't know the logic. That's why you're thinking in English and trying to speak Spanish. That's why you may have been struggling to speak Spanish. It's because you had the grammar, like linguistically correct idea in your mind that you'd memorized, and you knew the words, but if you never learned the logic, the actual reasoning there, then you won't be able to repeat this same structure for every other example. So that's why I emphasize these conclusions, okay? The examples don't matter. The conclusions that you draw from the examples that tell you things about Spanish logic is what matters. And so the question you should ask yourself every time you're approaching a Spanish sentence that is extremely hard to understand because it's like incoherent when you translate it to English directly is not to ask yourself, what does this translate to? But to ask yourself, what is Spanish doing here? What is this Spanish logic doing here? What is going on here? What is the logic? What is the reasoning? What are the steps of like reasoning to get to this conclusion, which is the sentence? That will take you a lot of time. Yes, it will take you a lot of time and effort. Yes, I'm not lying to you there. But it's one-time effort for infinite results, because if you learn one logic, you're able to apply that rule to as many sentences as you would like, instead of having to memorize each individual sentence. And that's what makes this high leverage. And so, yes, it might seem so much easier to just memorize that one example now. It's much more high leverage to understand, like to draw a logical conclusion and then see if that logical conclusion is accurate by testing it out with a ton of different examples. And that will help you much more with Spanish and understanding, and rewiring your brain to Spanish than anything else I could tell you. And that's what personally has helped me. And so stop translating, start understanding. That is the TLDR of this video. And that will rewire your brain to a Spanish speaker's brain, not an English speaker's one. If you're serious about learning Spanish and you want to learn with these frameworks with my help, then you can check the second link in the description to join my program. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed and stay humble.